Hi everyone and welcome to Protocol 36. In today's video, we'll be talking about how the Falcon and the Winter Soldier could have possibly set up Latveria in the MCU, the birthplace of Doctor Doom. Now before we get started, there will be spoilers for episode 3 of the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, so if you haven't caught up yet, click away. After you watch the episode, you can come back. But if you have watched it, at any point you enjoy this video, I would really appreciate if you could give it a like, as that would really help out the channel. Thank you. Now, as we all know, Doctor Doom is one of the most dangerous villains in Marvel Comics, being one of the most intelligent people in the Marvel Universe, as a scientist and as a sorcerer, not to mention ruling the entire nation of Latveria. And even though we haven't had any mentions of Doom yet, or even Fantastic Four, with that movie coming out, it's safe to say that Doom isn't really far behind. However, last episode, what Zemo said caught a lot of people's attention, including mine, and that's the mention of Sokovia being erased from the map. Now, what he says to Sam and Bucky in the episode is this: I heard what became of Sokovia, cannibalized by its neighbors, before the land was cleared by rebel and erased from the map. Now, this was also kind of confirmed earlier in the episode with an advert that says new societies, new laws, and new borders. So clearly Sokovia doesn't exist anymore in the MCU. It was most likely renamed and turned into a different country. Now, I personally think there's a good chance it turned into Latveria, as there's been a very popular fan theory going around after the release of Avengers Age of Ultron that Sokovia may turn into Latveria after Doctor Doom takes over the country. Now, before Age of Ultron, Sokovia never really existed in Marvel Comics, and obviously Marvel at the time didn't really have the rights to Doctor Doom and Latveria because Fox had the rights to the Fantastic Four. So I think there's a very good chance that they could in fact turn Sokovia into Latveria, as they're both Eastern European countries. And before Age of Ultron, Sokovia was kind of in a mess, as it was in constant war, civilians were being attacked. Heck, Wanda and Pietro's parents were killed during the conflict, and I wouldn't be surprised if Doctor Doom just comes over after getting his degree at Empire State University, possibly meeting a younger Reed Richards like in the comics, and obviously well versed in the magical arts. He could step into his birthplace, being Sokovia, and turn it into Latveria, refurbishing the entire country and basically turn it into something better, especially after the events of Age of Ultron, where Ultron and the Avengers pretty much destroyed a huge chunk of the country. So I could definitely see Doctor Doom during the 5 years period where half of the population were vanished, and pretty much turn Sokovia into an entirely new country, making it a better place for people to live in. And it's entirely possible that he could have taken some of the Ultron bots and the Iron Legion to improve and turn them into Doom bots, which would make a lot of sense, and knowing Doom, he would make sure that it's way more powerful and efficient. And he could have definitely used those 5 years in order to establish his rule as the king of Latveria. If they were going to reveal that, I don't think they would mention Latveria in the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. If anything, I think they're going to mention that in the new Fantastic Four film, but I obviously don't think Doctor Doom will be the first villain they're going to be using in that film. I think if anything, they're just going to mention Latveria, or even have Doom make a cameo, similar to Thanos in the first Avengers film. So I definitely think they're going to be leading towards Doom because he's that much of a big threat in the Marvel Universe. And just having him as the first villain the Fantastic Four faces wouldn't really work as well. And obviously they would have to use a different villain in order to differentiate themselves from the other Fantastic Four films that came before it. Even though it's just a small line, I do think they are slowly setting up Doctor Doom as one of the biggest threats in the MCU, as the MCU has been known to take small things and turn them into massive payoffs. For example, in Iron Man 1, when Jarvis mentions the fact if Tony were to go to other planets, which obviously he eventually does in Infinity War, or even the cheeseburger line from Iron Man 1. So when it comes to the MCU, anything is pretty much possible. However, this is just a theory, as I don't want it to become the next Tobey Maguire Spider-Man or the next Mephisto for Falcon and the Winter Soldier. And it's entirely possible that Marvel Studios could in fact say that Latveria is a different country from Sokovia, which I wouldn't be surprised if that happens. Point is, nothing has been confirmed until Marvel Studios say so. But I do think it's entirely possible that Marvel Studios could in fact turn Sokovia into Latveria and eventually introduce Doctor Doom, whether that be in the new Fantastic Four film, which has been announced to be directed by John Watts, or even a Disney Plus show about Doctor Doom, which I would personally love to see, adapting the Book of Doom storyline from the comics. However, what about you guys? Do you think that small line from Zemo could have possibly set up Latveria and Doctor Doom in the MCU? Or do you think it's kind of a reach and that Latveria will be a separate country from Sokovia? Let me know in the comments down below. I would love to hear your thoughts. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram and Twitter. If you enjoyed this video, please like, and want more, subscribe. To begin, Protocol 36.